right, welcome to another episode of the Couch Coaches podcast where we are talking everything sports, and we have a huge weekend coming up. NFC, AFC championship games. Our wonderful, amazing 49ers will be there, but they are not the first game, so we're going to start with the first game, which is Kansas City at Baltimore. Brother Bill, I'm going to start with you. Thoughts on the game?
I'll cut right to the chase and I'll explain why. Who comes out of that? Kansas City by a single point. And here's why. Because the Ravens had fewer yards against Houston than the Chiefs did against the Bills, which what you could say is the better defense than the Texans. And the Chiefs have a running game. Isaiah Pacheco is their running game. Mahomes is going to get what he gets on broken plays, but I trust that, not trust, but I believe that the experience and that defense of the Chiefs is going to figure, as long as Hill doesn't get loose, Justice Hill, who's a running back, and Gus Edwards, and if Lamar Jackson is their running game, then Kansas City defense will maybe let him get a few, but he's not going to be able to win that game by himself. I just think the Kansas City defense is going to find a way in the end to get it done, and Mahomes is going to make just enough plays, and Kansas City is going to win the game. And I don't even think it's going to be an upset.
All right, Brother James, thoughts on the game?
I totally disagree with Brother Bill. My feelings is, one, he didn't even bring up the weapons Baltimore had. You got Odell Beckham. I mean, yes, he's getting old, but he still can catch. He still runs great routes and still can catch. And Buffalo was okay, but they didn't have a defense like that, like Baltimore Ravens is. So Baltimore and the Ravens have always been known for defense. It didn't have anything else that had that defense, and so unless Kelsey goes off, Baltimore, and it's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be a very good game, just like last week's games were very good. Besides the Baltimore game, that was a runaway in the second half. They started out slow. I think they were rusty. I think they knocked off some of the rust now. I think we'll see a different start of their offense this coming weekend because they're not coming in rusty. They warmed up now. So I'm gonna pick Baltimore for probably like a touchdown.
So you think they'll win by a full touchdown?
Full touchdown.
All right. Deacon Hill, thoughts?
Yeah, Bill, I don't know. Bill, I know where his motive is and where he's going, his angle. I don't even know why, because the Niners not going to get there, but he don't want to see Baltimore at all. He don't want to see Baltimore, so that's his hope and dream, but that's what that is, a dream. Baltimore will win by at least a touchdown. I'm thinking at least 13 points. And you're talking about the weapons that Lamar has. Lamar, he don't have to depend on no run, in which they do have a running game. I was just looking at the stats right now. They got a running back, Jackson? He ran for over 100 yards last week. I mean, they got a running game, and then he has weapons to throw the ball to. He's not just a running quarterback anymore. And Odell is just like the third option. He got Flowers. We didn't even mention Flowers. They got the tight end Likely. They have a lot of options on offense. And they're playing at home, and that defense that Baltimore brings, Kansas City ain't gonna have that running game that they had, and Kelsey ain't gonna be enough. Baltimore is gonna bring the heat, and it's gonna be in the crowd and all of that behind it. At least 13 points, Baltimore, easily.
Brother Joe, can you do me a favor? Can you play the clip from last week's podcast? When Brother James and Deacon Hill, predicted that Buffalo was going to win, and I was the only one who picked the Chiefs, and all I got was I'm just dreaming because I just wanted all this and that. No one wanted to hear what I had to say about the Chiefs and that defense, and they went to Buffalo and got it done. I'm telling you, brothers, this is playoff pressure. Now Lamar Jackson is at home, championship. And the Chiefs are not going to let them run away with that game. Okay. I'm telling you, it's going to be a dog. It's going to be a dog fight. And if that thing gets to the fourth
broken
quarter,
clock is right once a day.
if that thing gets to if it gets to the fourth quarter, I'm telling you, Patrick Mahomes with a chance to win the game or ice it. All right, how many times do you have to see it in big games? That's why he's got two Super Bowls.
The issue of it is you look at the game with Buffalo. They were 3rd and 8, throwing deep balls instead of just getting the first down. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot.
There's a reason why they did that. The reason why they did that.
Well, no, it wasn't the reason why it was bad. That was bad play calls because they should just pick up the first down.
Short. Because they couldn't go short.
They was going short all night.
All right. Okay. You know what? I guess all we can do is next Tuesday when we got the Niners and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl rematch, we'll go over it, and maybe Joe, you'll have this snippet ready. We can play it back then. That's all I got. But we'll get to the Niners and Detroit. So I don't want to get ahead of myself.
So I feel like the thing that I love about football, and the thing I love about the playoffs and eventually the Super Bowl is stuff happens that going into the game you don't expect to happen. And I feel like the Chiefs are in that, they're in that, like, that Patriots territory where you go, I kind of just have to trust it, even though I don't, like, I will admit on paper with Zay Flowers, with the way their offense is running, with their defense, everything, like, going into the game, you go, especially with the Chiefs kind of on a downturn this year, you go, Baltimore is going to win this game. But then I go, the Chiefs with the experience and the way, and I do think if the Chiefs have a chance to win it at the end, if Mahomes has the ball with a chance to win the game, I think they will win the game. But I mean, granted, the way Baltimore kind of came out in that second half and just blew the doors off of Houston, they can make adjustments, which is something that I have a hard time. Kyle doesn't seem to be able to make adjustments, but we can get into that in a minute. I think I trust the Chiefs so much because their defense is so well coached that I figure he's if anybody's gonna, I'll put it this way, if anybody's gonna think of a way to figure out how to shut down this Ravens offense, and I don't even mean shut it down, I just mean, like, you remember when Iguodala wins the MVP and LeBron was averaging like 38 points a game, and you're like, how does he win the MVP? And I got 38 points. I feel like it's going to be something like that. Like Lamar will he'll have a solid game, but they'll only score 28 points, or they'll only score 31 points. But like it will look a little more difficult to do. I think Spagnuolo will be able to do that. And I see Mahomes as just the dude. He's got that kind of Brady end of the game quality where it's like he can figure out how to rip your heart out at the end of the game. And I feel like I think it's going to be a close game. No matter how it looks in the first half or the third quarter, I feel like just Mahomes and Spagnuolo, they're going to do just enough to keep it tight. And if it's tight going into the last couple possessions and Mahomes has a chance, Lamar's incredible, but has Lamar driven the field with 90 seconds left to win a game in a huge game like this, that's a different kind of pressure. And he's playing at like an absolutely absurd level. Their offense is playing at an absurd level. The defense been great, everything. I have a hard time going against the Chiefs.
Yeah. See, you and Bill have that scenario if it's close. That's the smallest, biggest word in the dictionary. It ain't gonna be close.
The Chiefs don't get blown out. The Chiefs
You
don't get blown out, though.
You said the same thing last week, bro. Look what happened.
What did I say last week?
You said the same thing about last week about both games. You said,
I didn't. I said that game. It was hard pressed for me to pick Buffalo. I did pick Buffalo, but I knew that game was going to be tight. I didn't say it was going to. No, I didn't say that last week, and that's the only game.
I said Buffalo was going to win good, but Deacon Hill did say it was going to be tight.
Okay, and to be fair, I mean, I know Deacon Greger's saying that Joe and I have our reasons for picking, Kansas City, but I can't overlook this, that both you and Brother James have a reason for picking the Ravens, because if the Chiefs and the Niners wind up in the Super Bowl, that means somebody's going to be celebrating on the Raiders' 50-yard line. And you don't want it to be either team. Just go ahead and say it, because everybody knows it. You don't want the Chiefs celebrate.
You have it wrong, because it would look better for us because we beat the Chiefs. So if the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl and beat the Niners, it just make us look like we came in second place.
No, it don't work that way, bro. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what kind of math you learned in school, but that ain't the math. It don't work like that.
But the issue of it is you got to get past Detroit.
We'll get to that game.
All right.
Yeah, we shall will.
So in all honesty, just aside from the fact, like I really don't want to especially after this last week against the Packers, I really don't want to see the Ravens in the Super Bowl. I really don't. But realistically, I have a hard time seeing. And granted, this will apply to us in 2 weeks if we can get by the Lions. Just the Chiefs are. It's like they're those dudes right now. They're the guys that's like, yeah, I kind of did this, and then Mahomes comes out and ding, 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 and you lose the game. It's like Brady's last Super Bowl. Did you ever expect the Patriots to win? I mean, Brady's last Patriot Super Bowl. That was the weakest team coming into it, and they went and they shut down. I mean, they beat Mahomes a little kind of funky on the last call with the offsides, but then they went in and shut down the Rams, and nobody expected the Rams to get shut down. It's just like that. That's the kind of stuff that happens in the playoffs. But we do have to get to the other game, and seeing as the Niners just absolutely dominated for 4 quarters, I see no reason why we would lose the Detroit game. But I'm going to start with Brother Bill. I want to hear the positive Niners fan side, and then I'm going to go right to the Raiders fans, so you guys can look at it, give us from an outsider's perspective, because I know I did not have a good Saturday night at all, except for the last 6 minutes of the game. But the rest of the game, I was not cool. So, Brother Bill, what do you expect to happen on Sunday night?
What I expect to happen Sunday night is if Deebo Samuels plays, then the Niners will be in good shape. Deebo, just like you talk about McCaffrey being the MVP of the team, that offense runs its best when Deebo is on the field. Number one. Number two, the Niners running game, it has to feature more than just McCaffrey. And Deacon Gregory was talking about this on Sunday. He's the workhorse, but you notice in the second half, Shanahan started getting him the ball out in the flat instead of just running between the tackles all night. I think that as explosive as Detroit can be, and yes, they do have a running game, and yes, they do have a good defense, a dome team on the road, this team with the Detroit Lions has never been in this situation before. And yes, they're hungry. Sure, they got the right coach and all, but the 49ers that team has been looking forward to this ever since Brock Purdy went down in the NFC Championship game last year. So this team is on a mission. But I will say one thing. If there's turnovers in this game, whoever wins the turnover battle, I think that team's going to win the game. And the last thing I think that I will say about the 49ers is the reason why I was listening to, 49ers 95.7 the game this week, and a lot of fans calling in, all the angst over the game. And the reason why I think there was so much angst over the game is because, they expected the Niners to be the front runners in the game like they've been most of the season. And the way Green Bay was able to run the ball, and we talked about this, if Aaron Jones got loose, that was going to be a problem. It almost was. So I think Niner fans have gotten used to the Niners being comfortably ahead in most games. And when they were trailing in the second half, then all of a sudden, and then, they're down by, 4 points. He needed the touchdown drive by Brock Purdy, the quote unquote average quarterback who goes 6 for 7 for 47 yards and 67 yards, and the only incompletion was the George Kittle drop. It's like, what do you have to do to, at some point, critics, he's better than average, not elite, but an average quarterback just doesn't do that in a big game. Sorry. Not when all the chips are down and you got to have a touchdown to win the game. And there's no Deebo. That's all I got.
Deacon Hill, thoughts?
First of all, I said he was above average. I didn't say he was average. He's above
You said average. I'm gonna find that in our text thread. Yeah, I know what you said.
Okay. Well, again, you're saying that Deebo, you guys got to have Deebo on the field. Guess what? You probably will have Deebo on the field, but how effective is he going to be? He got a bad shoulder. He go out there and get hit up a couple of times, so he ain't going to be the Deebo that you guys think he's going to be. So that right there is going to be, you better cross your fingers, but he's just going to be a decoy at best. He's not going to be the Deebo that you need. And then, like you said, we talked about McCaffrey. He's not a workhorse. He could break plays. He gets in there and he could break a play, anytime. But you guys try to use him as a workhorse, and that's going to be a big mistake. I think a lot of teams are using, just like Green Bay, they're using that blueprint that Baltimore put on you guys. They're putting a lot of pressure on that with the defensive line, and the defense is coming, and that is what is giving you guys trouble right now. And I think that the Lions have the personnel to duplicate the same thing, and they have a better offense than Green Bay. They have a better quarterback. Jordy Love is a good quarterback, but he don't have the experience as Goff. Goff has been to the big games and he's been around, and he's not gonna throw that crazy interception at the end of the game that Love did. And they have a running game, and like me and you were talking, what they did is they ran right at you guys at Bosa and your defense. So that pass rush, they neutralize your pass rush right off the top. So I think they're going to use that blueprint and come straight at you guys and punch you guys in the mouth, and you guys are not going to be able to recover. That's all I got.
So you're saying you're calling Ravens Detroit Super Bowl.
Yes.
All right, Brother James.
He's calling anti-Niners Super Bowl. That's all that was.
Well. So going back to Purdy, I think Purdy's a good quarterback for his years. For his age. Will he blossom into a Montana? You never know. I think he makes good decisions for his age. Okay, but if you look at the last game, I mean, really, he should have had 3 picks. Okay, only reason he didn't is because the defense of Green Bay was too anxious and they just couldn't catch the ball. Okay, now he does that with Detroit. That's a done deal. Okay, and like I said, he's just like any other little rookie quarterback. He's gonna try to do too much. That's what happened that's why y'all beat Green Bay, because the quarterback tried to do too much at the end. Instead of throwing the ball away, he trying to thread a needle. Live to fight another day. And so I want to pick you guys for this game, but it's hard. And the reason it's hard because, one, Deebo Sanders is not going to, like Hill said, he's hurt. He's faking the funk right now. He's going to take them shots and he's going to play. But McCaffrey is enough of a running game. I mean, I'm sorry. Y'all got probably the best running back in the league in McCaffrey. But that defense of that front of Detroit, I think is going to limit his deal. So y'all going to end up passing the ball to him in the flats, and then you do that, he's going to be less effective because I think he runs better when he's coming through the tackles. So saying all that, I'm going to agree with Deacon Hill and say it's going to be Baltimore and Detroit for Super Bowl.
All right.
And it's going to be a dogfight, but if y'all turn the ball over one time, Detroit's going to win.
Yeah, but I feel
there's
like
an if word again. What a great thing. If we, how many turnovers did we have last week?
It was the 5th. I mean, y'all didn't have any.
Right. There you go.
Besides the 3 and outs, but you didn't have any. But the issue of it is, okay, so then you do for a turnover then, because that's just it's like a slot machine.
Oh boy, stop it! Stop it.
Okay, so I see Detroit's defense as being very similar to Philadelphia's. I think they have a very strong front 7, but the secondary is not like they're. I mean, teams go up and down the field on them. And granted, when you have a short yardage situation and they know you're running the ball or something like that, or they have to get in there, and they have Hutchinson coming in at you. I mean, they have the ability to totally blow up short yardage plays or plays that. And Kyle seems to like these passing plays. Like, you need like 3 yards. Why is it taking 5 seconds to develop this play to come? Like, just get the ball to the dude in the flat or whatever, and let's go. So I think that they'll have the ability to blow that up. If we can get into their secondary, we get past the linebackers and stuff, I don't think passing will be a problem. I think running will be a problem. I agree with you. I don't think we're going to be running up the middle. I think we're going to be running in the flats. I think we're going to run in the middle, 2 set up, running in the flats, and running up the middle, 2 set up to play action, and all the stuff that we do. I will say Kyle drives me absolutely nuts. And part of it is the label that they put on him as like this offensive genius guy. The dude cannot adjust to save his life. He does this, like that play when they came out in the second half and they ran a Debo play with Jawan Jennings. I almost put my head through the TV. I'm like, he's not Debo. He's Jawan Jennings. He's the dude. He's like one of the best third down receivers like in the league. The dude is, I mean, and you saw it later on in the game when Purdy threaded the needle just over the linebacker and he just, Jennings is a stud receiver. He's not a wide back. Why we kept that play in there, but Debo's not there, my head was going to explode. And I think that's the thing with Kyle. And that's why he had the problem in Atlanta when the defense adjusted. He couldn't find the adjustment because his little thing that he knows is going to work, because he knows what, he knows that this play has to work and this has to work. He can't adjust to it. So then when they adjust to it, he doesn't know where to go. And I think that's similar to what happened when we had to get some yardage and stuff when we were trying to come back against Kansas City in the last Super Bowl. And I feel like that's why he's what, 30-1. I mean, a 1-30 and trailing, because it just for somebody that is supposedly so good at offense to not be able to adjust to whatever you see. If you're so good at offense, it baffles me when you have these offensive weapons, when you just we're going to keep doing the same thing. And Purdy, so I have a few clients that are orthopedic surgeons. So I said, hey, everybody's like, oh, Purdy can't throw with the wet ball, He played at Iowa State. Iowa State does not have great weather. There's no way the weather is it's not freezing cold or raining or snowing or something. So I looked up the numbers. His numbers are pretty comparable the whole season. So I said, he had this elbow surgery a year ago, 11 months ago. Is it going to affect his grip? Because he was terrible in Cleveland. He was bad the other day. Like the ball's wobbling and he's all over the place. So when you have surgery on the joint, it gets the weather's cold, the weather's wet, it tightens up, and it's going to affect your thumb and your grip. So Purdy, who's not a big dude, I can't imagine he has monster hands being a little dude. So his hands are probably big enough when the weather's good and his grip's good. But when his grip is not good, like the way it is, as his elbow is still recovering because tendons take forever to heal 100%, he's not going to be able to grip the ball as well. Luckily, Raiders have an indoor stadium and it's not supposed to rain on Sunday. Thank God. But I think Purdy's thing is it's more grip with his elbow than it is the small hands or can't throw. That being said, Purdy's a dude. He played like booty the whole game and was clear and decisive and on point and everything at the end of the game when it mattered the most. And he's not Mahomes. When Mahomes threw that ball that what's his name missed? Diggs missed that like 70-yard just bomb. He's never going to throw that. The only way the ball gets down there is if he drives it down there in his car. He's not Mahomes. He's none of these dudes, but he's Peyton Manning didn't have a real strong arm. Drew Brees didn't have a real strong arm, but so he can be in kind of that category of arm strength, but the dude, he doesn't get phased. And that's what I love about him, because a lot of the quarterbacks, when they start having a bad game, they have it's done. They're just trash the rest of the game. And I love that he's not doing that. I think we're going to play much better against Detroit. I think that was a huge wake-up call, because for 54 minutes, it looked like we were going to lose that game. And I think Detroit doesn't play well on the road, The pressure, the inexperience, all of those things. I think it'll be tight. I do not think it'll be as close as it was against Green Bay. I don't think we're gonna have to pull a game out of our butt at the end. I think it's gonna be a rematch, Chiefs Niners. I think we're gonna look much better. And I think we're gonna make Detroit look not very good.
I tell you what, I seen Purdy do something I never seen a quarterback do.
Wipe his hand off.
Wipe his hand off. I'm like, what was that?
I got time with my offensive line to wipe my hands on the ball, to bake a cake, call mama, check on the family.
Dude,
Look and see Bill up there crying.
No, I was good, bro. I was good.
He's making mistakes, but the dude is like what's the dude's name? Stuart Scott.
Yeah.
He's as cool as the other side of the pillow. Like he's his mental capacity for playing the sport. I love it.
That was something. I said when he did that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, so he's scanning the field. These dudes are all over him, and he's just like, "Yeah, wipe off my hand, put it back on the ball, check it."
To be fair, it was one quick, half beat motion. It wasn't like he was back there reading the funny papers. I had never seen it before either, to be fair. But I think the other thing is, if you look at, and I heard this on the radio this morning, I can't remember the guy's name who used to play with the Ravens. He was asked, which quarterback does he trust more, Jared Goff or Brock Purdy? And he said Jared Goff, because Goff has, more experience. He's been in, more playoff games. He's been to a Super Bowl, although they didn't win against New England. And so he was saying just because with Goff, he's more of a known commodity than Purdy is, which is a fair argument, right? But the thing about sports is when you talk about comparing what individual players do, you have to remember it's a team sport. And so you have to ask yourself, which team do you trust more in a big game? Do you trust the Detroit Lions in this, everything to get to a Super Bowl, or do you trust the 49ers? Same thing with the Ravens Chiefs. In Ravens Chiefs, it's a closer argument because the teams, even with the Ravens defense, the Chiefs, we've seen what they've done in big games in 2 Super Bowls, plus getting up there. So we'll see. That's why they call it Championship Sunday.
All right, so we have a few minutes left. I want to get into, so the Raiders chose, they picked AP to be their coach. I think they had a couple of interviews with some people. They've interviewing some OCs or something. So they got AP as their coach, and today they hired Telesco, the old Chargers GM, to be the GM. So thoughts on the coach? Oh, and they're also bringing in
Marvin Lewis, Tom Coughlin.
Yes. So do they have official roles, or are they just advisors for the team?
Marvin Lewis is assistant head coach and an advisor. Tom Coughlin is a senior advisor.
Okay, so Deacon Hill, I'll start with you. Just thoughts on the head coach choice, who we got to see for about half the season, and then kind of the development of your new front office.
Well, I love the head coach choice. I think he came in and he got those players playing for him, and all the players were basically like Max Crosby was saying, he wanted to be traded if he didn't become the coach. So you had all the players pulling for him, and then some people are saying that's not good because then the players don't feel like they have to be accountable or whatever. But I don't think that. I think that he brought them back to playing the old Raider style. So I love that the coach hire. I was pulling for the interim GM Kelly, Champ Kelly. He has a couple interviews and he's still under contract with the Raiders. So if he doesn't get another GM job somewhere else, he will still be in the building with the Raiders. So I think that is good. And like we mentioned, they brought in Marvin Lewis, which was a long-term coach for the Bengals, and he has a lot of experience on the defensive side. So I think that's going to be good. I'm just waiting on the offensive coordinator. We haven't picked up an offensive coordinator yet. Tom Coughlin, he was a Super Bowl coach with the New York Giants. I think he coached AP. So there's a relationship there. I think they're doing a good, solid job. So I'm happy.
Do you guys have a DC already?
No, we did. Well,
we have the same
Graham
one.
is still there. He hasn't taken a position yet.
We kept the same one.
Yeah, I didn't hear that, but I know he has been interviewing, so I know he hasn't accepted a job anywhere else.
Okay. Brother James, thoughts on the coach and the front office changes?
Oh, I love the changes. Of course, I love the coach. I mean, we are looking in a whole different direction coming next year. I believe that, if I'm not mistaken, they blocked the interview for the defensive coordinator.
You're right.
Because they wouldn't allow him to interview.
Right.
So they kept him because our problem wasn't on defense. Our problem was on the offense side of the ball, and in the offense. So We're looking up. I am very ecstatic about the changes. He's the man, and I think he's going to show the world. I think he's going to be there as a coach for a while.
Brother Bill, thoughts on the Raiders?
I can't comment on the Oakland / Los Angeles / Reno Raiders. I was told I can't comment. So no, just jokes aside. I think, number one, they got it right by making Pierce their head coach. I think the key for them offensively is as Brother James mentioned, is they need to have an identity. I couldn't tell, even when they had Derek Carr, whether or not they were, a pass first team, whether or not they were, they became predictable offensively. Run on first down, try to get something on second down, end up third and more than three throwing on third down. So it'll be interesting to see, just from a play calling standpoint with the offensive coordinator, how their offense looks next year. I think for the division that they're in, with Kansas City and Denver, who have better than average lines, it's going to be what can they really do in the running game, and they need a quarterback. So with all the coaching changes and the front office change, that's all well and good, but I think there's still a couple of players, key skill positions away from competing in that division with the Chiefs. So we'll see.
And I think that's to me that's the best part about hiring Telesco, because the dude, whatever, and I don't know how many people he's bringing over from LA, but that he was able to put together such a strong team that if he can do it again, I mean, the Raiders will be, at least on paper, are going to have the except for the quarterbacks. Again, a quarterback's kind of a crapshoot, hard to get, but you guys are going to have a real roster. Like he's a dude that put together a real roster, and I don't think he should have been let go for the. I keep saying San Diego. I don't think he should have been let go there. I think they should have just fired that god awful coach Staley. But maybe that was part of their move. Maybe they knew Harbaugh, because it's looking like Harbaugh's going to be the guy. Maybe they just knew Harbaugh was going to want to come in and bring in his own dude. But I think it's a good hire. I think it's good for the Raiders. I think the Vegas move was good. Mark Davis is winning championships with the Aces. Is that what the women's basketball team is? Something like whatever the women's basketball. He's got 2 championships there. Now he's got Telesco, which is a great GM. People love AP. It's definitely looking up for the Raiders, which is, I mean, I don't care. It's the Raiders, but it's good. I'm happy for you guys. But all right, so we are out of time. Huge games this weekend. Can't wait to talk more smack to you guys at church on Sunday, and then we'll make it official smack talk on Tuesday. Hopefully I'm right, and Niners are back in the Super Bowl. Cross my fingers. We have a bunch of family. A bunch of my wife's families coming out they're all from Flint and Detroit. So we got a whole bunch of people coming out here. They're actually going to the game. So wow. Bill, if you see them, throw a drink on them and tell them to get out of here. Go back to Detroit.
No, I'll tell them welcome to Levi Stadium. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, sorry, you're gonna go home sad. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Thank you. Thanks again.
All right.
See you soon.